سمعت قبل كده انك ممكن تتعلم اللغة الانجليزية في 60 يوم بس؟ حاولت تتعلم انجليش سواء كان من مجلات، كتب، كورسات او حتى يوتيوب ومش لاقي اي نتيجة؟ نفسك تتقن اللغة الانجليزية ومش عارف؟ تعال اعلمك ازاي هتكون وحش خارق في اللغة الانجليزية واوعدك انك هتتحول من زيرو تو هيرو. تعلمك للغة الإنجليزية مش مجرد درس، بل هو مفتاح لعالم جديد، وفي رحلتنا في تعلم اللغة الإنجليزية هنحولها من مجرد لغة بنتعلمها للغة بنعيشها. في سلسلة تعلم الإنجليزية من خلال قصة هنكتشف مع بعض سحر اللغة الإنجليزية، وهتطلع من الفيديو مش قادر تنساه. مش بس كده، هتستمتع بقصة ملهمة جميلة، وفي نفس الوقت هتطلع معاك حصيلة مفردات غيرك هيقعد شهور عشان يجمعها، انت جمعتها في فيديو واحد. في كورس تعلم الإنجليزية من خلال قصة، كل مهاراتك في اللغة الإنجليزية هتنفجر. هتحسن مهارة الاستماع وتبقى قادر انك تشوف افلام انجليزي من غير ترجمة، هتطور مهارة التحدث وهيكون زيك زي اي مواطن امريكي او انجليزي، والاهم من كده ان هيكون عندك حصيلة مفردات كبيرة تساعدك على التفكير باللغة الانجليزية وتسهل رحلتك في تعلم اللغة الانجليزية. I'm Mohammed, your English tutor in Fluent English and your partner in success. Let's get started.
In the heart of Silicon Valley, there was a man named Tom. Tom was an average Joe, working a 9-to-5 job at a tech company. His life was a routine of code, coffee, and the occasional Friday night out. He wasn't unhappy, but he wasn't fulfilled either. One day, while working late on a project, Tom felt a sudden dizziness wash over him. The numbers and letters on his screen began to dance before his eyes, and the world turned black as he passed out. When Tom awoke, he found himself in a hospital bed with a throbbing headache. The doctor explained that he had suffered a minor brain aneurysm, but miraculously, it had no adverse effects. In fact, as Tom soon discovered, it had quite the opposite.
Back at home, Tom sat down at his computer and found that he could read and understand code in ways he never imagined. Algorithms and patterns that once baffled him now seemed as simple as basic arithmetic. His fingers flew across the keyboard.
أحب أفكرك إنك تقدر تنضم معانا لكورس تطوير اللغة الإنجليزية. معانا في الكورس بتابع معاك بشكل شخصي، وبناخد محاضرة أسبوعية على زوم لمدة 3 ساعات. بتابع معاك كل أمورك الشخصية وكل مشاكلك في اللغة. بشوف نقط ضعفك وبنطورها سوا. بنشتغل على تطوير الاستماع والمحادثة وتطوير النطق، وبندرس القواعد وبنتعلم الترجمة لكل المستويات. مدة الكورس هي 1.5 شهر. للاشتراك تواصل معايا على الخاص على الانستجرام أو الفيسبوك.
Coding complex programs with ease. Word of Tom's newfound genius spread like wildfire. He was hailed as the next great innovator.
He started by creating software that could diagnose diseases with unprecedented accuracy. Then, he developed an AI that could predict and prevent cyber attacks. But his masterpiece was a program that optimized resource distribution, ending hunger in several underdeveloped regions. Tom's life had changed in the blink of an eye. He had become a genius, not just in intellect, but in spirit. He used his gift not for personal gain, but for the betterment of humanity. And in doing so, he found the fulfillment he had always been searching for.
In the bustling city of New Haven, a group of decorated police officers led dual lives. By day, they were the epitome of law and order. But by night, they plotted an act that would shock the city to its core. The leader of the gang, Detective John Hawk Hawkins, was a man of sharp wit and iron resolve. His second-in-command, Sergeant Mia the Mind Moreno, was a master strategist known for her meticulous planning. Completing the gang were Officer Leo Lockpicks Larson, an expert in security systems, and Officer Tanya, the Shadow Turner, whose stealth was unmatched. Their target was the Federal Gold Reserve Bank, a fortress of wealth in the heart of the city. The plan was simple yet audacious. Use their insider knowledge to bypass security during the city's grand parade. When the noise and chaos would cover their tracks.
The day of the heist arrived as the parade roared through the streets. The gang donned their disguises and slipped into the bank. With precision, they disabled the alarms. And Leo cracked the vault with a finesse that belied his burly frame. They were in and out before the parade's last float passed by. But as they made their escape, a twist of fate awaited them. The getaway driver, an undercover FBI agent, revealed himself. And the gang was surrounded. It was a sting operation, and the officers had walked right into it.
In the quaint town of Maplewood, two childhood friends, Tom and Alex, grew up sharing every adventure and dream. Their bond was unbreakable, or so it seemed. Tom, ambitious and driven, yearned for a life beyond the small town. While Alex, content and loyal, found solace in the familiar streets and faces of Maplewood. As years passed, Tom's restlessness turned into a burning desire for success. He ventured into the city, promising Alex he would return once he made his fortune. Alex, trusting and supportive, waved him off with a heavy heart but a hopeful smile.
Tom's endeavors were fruitful, and he quickly climbed the corporate ladder. Yet, with each step, he distanced himself from his humble beginnings and the friend who still waited for his return. In his pursuit of wealth, Tom made a deal that would secure his position at the top, but at a grave cost. Back in Maplewood, Alex's family business faced ruin. A corporation sought to buy the land on which the town stood, threatening to displace its residents. Alex, determined to save his home, led the fight against the faceless entity that sought to claim their land.
In the heart of the bustling city, where the streets buzzed with the symphony of urban life, there was a man named Tom. Tom was a man of simple means. His life a constant battle against the tide of bills and expenses that threatened to drown him. One fateful evening, as the sun dipped below the skyline, painting the clouds in shades of orange and purple, Tom found himself in a dire situation. His daughter was ill. And the medication she needed was beyond his reach. Desperation clawed at his heart, and in a moment of sheer panic, he made a decision that would forever alter the course of his life.
Tom, a man who had never so much as stolen a candy bar, walked into a local convenience store. The bell above the door jingled as he entered. Announcing his presence to the weary clerk behind the counter. With shaky hands and a heavy heart, Tom demanded $200, the exact amount needed for his daughter's medication. The clerk, a young man with dreams of his own, saw the torment in Tom's eyes and complied. Tom fled into the night, the stolen bills burning a hole in his pocket.
In the bustling metropolis of Cairo, where the ancient pyramids witnessed the ebb and flow of history, an unlikely hero emerged from the chaos of honking cars and crowded streets. Ahmed, an Uber driver with a heart of gold and a keen sense of duty, was about to embark on a journey that would etch his name in the annals of time. It was a day like any other when Ahmed received a peculiar notification on his Uber app. A ride request from a Dr. El Masri, a renowned scientist known for his work in quantum physics. Little did Ahmed know, this ride would change the course of history. Dr. El Masri hurried into the car, clutching a briefcase to his chest. To the National Research Center, and please, hurry, he urged. As they weaved through traffic, the scientist revealed a harrowing truth. A catastrophic experiment gone awry had opened a rift in space-time, threatening to swallow the city whole.
Ahmed's hands tightened on the wheel. He was no stranger to navigating the unpredictable streets. But this was a race against time itself. The scientist guided him, using a device that beeped and flashed with urgency as they approached the epicenter of the impending disaster. They arrived to find the research center in pandemonium. Scientists scrambled to evacuate, but Dr. El Masri had a plan. He needed to reach the lab to activate a countermeasure that would seal the rift. But with the building's security systems down, it was up to Ahmed to get them past the chaos. With the courage of a pharaoh's warrior, Ahmed maneuvered through the panicked crowd, using his street smarts and resourcefulness. They reached the lab, and as Dr. El Masri worked his scientific magic, Ahmed stood guard, ready to defend the future of humanity. The device emitted a high-pitched whine, and then a brilliant light enveloped the room. The rift was closing. Cheers erupted from the scientists who had gathered outside, watching the spectacle on monitors.
In the quiet town of Elmswood, where the days were long and the nights peaceful, lived a man named David with his young son Ethan. David, a widower, devoted his life to Ethan, ensuring that the boy never felt the absence of his mother. They shared a bond unbreakable, a love immeasurable. One fateful evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden glow over the town, Ethan vanished. Panic gripped David's heart as he searched frantically, calling out Ethan's name into the encroaching darkness. Hours turned into days, and there was no sign of Ethan. Then, a ransom note arrived, demanding a hefty sum for Ethan's safe return. David, driven by a father's love, complied without hesitation. He gathered the money, each bill a testament to his desperation. Exchange was set in an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of Elmswood.
With trembling hands and a heart heavy with fear, David followed the kidnapper's instructions to the letter. But David was not alone in his plight. The town's detective, a shrewd woman named Sarah, had been working tirelessly behind the scenes. She had pieced together the clues, followed the trail of deceit. And as David made the exchange, Sarah and her team closed in. The kidnappers, caught in the act, were arrested, their plans foiled. Ethan, scared but unharmed, was reunited with his father. Tears of joy and relief streamed down David's face as he held Ethan close, vowing never to let him go again.
The town hailed Sarah as a hero, but she knew the true hero was David.
10 دقايق بس من يومك هيكونوا حجر الأساس في تعلمك اللغة الإنجليزية من الصفر حتى الاحتراف. Greetings and welcome. I'm Mohamed and I'm your English tutor in Fluent English. أهلا بيكم في حلقة جديدة من سلسلة تعلم الإنجليزية من خلال قصة. من خلال السلسلة دي أنت هتستفاد أكتر من استفادة، منهم إنك هتنمي حصيلتك من المفردات، هتقوي مهارة الاستماع، وهتحسن نطقك لمفردات اللغة الإنجليزية. لو أنت مهتم بتعلم الإنجليزية فمش مطلوب منك غير إنك تعمل اشتراك في القناة وتتابع باقي فيديوهات السلسلة. وبس كده. Let's get started. قبل ما نبدأ في أحداث القصة خلينا نستعرض شوية كلمات جديدة تزيد من حصيلتك اللغوية وتساعدك على فهم القصة وأحداثها بشكل أفضل.
Physician.
Physician.
Physician. Compassion.
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 Dedication.
Dedication.
Dedication. Indiscretions.
Indiscretions.
And indiscretions.
Falsifying.
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 Prescriptions.
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 Embezzled.
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 Desperate.
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 Plight.
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 Fateful.
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 Audit.
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 Investigation.
Investigation.
Investigation. Descent.
Dissent.
Dissent.
Criminality.
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 License.
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 Reputation.
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 Freedom.
Freedom.
Freedom. Shock.
Shock.
Shock. Noble.
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 Intentions.
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 Wrong turn.
Wrong turn.
Wrong turn. Path.
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 Return.
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 Respected.
Respected.
Respected. Dark secret.
Dark secret.
Dark secret.
Slippery slope.
Slippery slope.
Slippery slope. Unthinkable.
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 Guilt.
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 Relief.
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 Hero.
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 Dr. Elena Mendoza was a respected physician in the small town of Rosalinda, known for her compassion and dedication. She was the last person anyone would suspect of harboring a dark secret. But as the pressures of her personal and professional life mounted, Elena found herself on a slippery slope that led to the unthinkable. It began with small indiscretions, falsifying prescriptions for medications that were never needed. She told herself it was to help those who couldn't afford them, but as the lies piled up, so did the guilt. The turning point came when a desperate man, unable to pay for his wife's surgery, begged for her help. Elena, moved by his plight, made a fateful decision that would change her life forever.
دلوقتي وصلنا لفقرة الترجمة. هات ورقة وقلم وسجل المصطلحات الجديدة.
Dr. Elena Mendoza was a respected physician in the small town of Rosalinda, known for her compassion and dedication. She was the last person anyone would suspect of harboring a dark secret. But as the pressures of her personal and professional life mounted, Elena found herself on a slippery slope that led to the unthinkable. It began with small indiscretions, falsifying prescriptions for medications that were never needed. She told herself it was to help those who couldn't afford them, but as the lies piled up, so did the guilt. The turning point came when a desperate man, unable to pay for his wife's surgery, begged for her help. Elena, moved by his plight, made a fateful decision that would change her life forever.
She embezzled funds from the hospital, convincing herself it was a loan she would pay back. The surgery was a success, and for a moment, Elena felt like a hero, but the relief was short-lived. The hospital's audit revealed the missing funds, and the investigation pointed straight to her. Elena's descent into criminality was swift. She lost her medical license, her reputation, and her freedom. The town of Rosalinda was left in shock. Unable to reconcile the caring doctor they knew with the criminal she had become. Of the Sahara, under the scorching sun, there was a man named Karim. He was an adventurous soul, always seeking the thrill of the unknown. One day, while on a solo expedition to uncover the secrets of an ancient civilization rumored to have thrived in the heart of the desert, Karim found himself separated from his caravan during a fierce sandstorm. As the storm subsided, he stood alone amidst the endless dunes, with nothing but the sky above and the sand below. His compass had been lost to the winds, and his water supply was dwindling. Yet Karim did not despair. He remembered the tales of the desert nomads, the Bedouins, who spoke of the desert as a living entity that whispered guidance to those who listened.
With the stars as his map and the shifting sands as his companion, Karim journeyed through the day and night. He encountered mirages that promised salvation, only to vanish into the hot air. He met creatures of the desert, from the majestic falcon to the elusive fennec fox, each surviving in their own way. Days turned into weeks, and Karim's hope never faltered. He learned to find water hidden in the cacti and to catch the scarce rain in his makeshift cloth. The desert, once a vast enemy, became his teacher, and Karim, its willing student. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, Karim stumbled upon ruins half buried in the sand.
It was the lost civilization he had been searching for.
Clara, though heartbroken, was not without her own resources. She had been suspicious of Julian's sudden affections from the start and had hired a private investigator shortly after their marriage. The investigator, a sharp-eyed woman named Evelyn, had been compiling evidence of Julian's infidelity and misuse of Clara's funds. As the confrontation between Clara and Julian reached its peak, Evelyn was there, hidden in the shadows, documenting every word. After Clara's tragic accident, Julian thought he had covered his tracks well, but Evelyn brought her findings to the police, and an investigation was launched. Julian's facade of the grieving husband crumbled under scrutiny, and the evidence of his tampering with Clara's car came to light.
The trial was a media sensation, with Julian at the centre of a storm of outrage. Convicted of his crimes, he was sent to prison, where the weight of his guilt and the ghosts of his past actions tormented him. He was a man broken by his own greed, his name forever tarnished. Clara's legacy, however, lived on. Her will revealed that she had left the majority of her fortune to charity, with provisions to support the arts and the city's homeless. The community mourned the loss of their benefactor, and in her memory, a foundation was established to continue her philanthropic work.
In the quiet suburb of Cedar Grove, there lived a boy named Ethan. To his friends and family, Ethan was just an average high school student with a knack for computers. Little did they know, Ethan harbored a secret passion for cybersecurity and coding. Ethan's journey began when he stumbled upon an online community of ethical hackers. Fascinated by the challenge, he began to teach himself the art of hacking. Night after night, he honed his skills, navigating through complex networks and systems with ease.
As his abilities grew, so did his reputation. Under the alias Shadowbite, Ethan started taking on more daring challenges. He infiltrated secure databases, exposed vulnerabilities, and even helped to thwart cyber attacks. But with each success, Ethan's confidence swelled, and the line between right and wrong began to blur. The turning point came when Ethan discovered a hidden network known as the Dark Nexus. It was a digital underworld, a haven for the world's most notorious hackers. Seduced by the promise of power and anarchy, Ethan delved deeper into the Nexus. His actions growing more audacious and dangerous.
Ethan's exploits caught the attention of global intelligence agencies. He had become one of the most wanted cybercriminals.
In the bustling city of Metropolis, a group of construction workers found themselves unwittingly entangled in a daring bank robbery. The workers, led by the seasoned foreman Joe, were laboring on a new skyscraper directly across from the Metropolis National Bank. As the sun climbed higher, casting a golden hue over the city, the workers noticed a peculiar van parked outside the bank. It was an ordinary day until the sound of sirens pierced the air. Joe, with his keen eye, spotted masked figures dashing from the bank to the van, bags of cash in hand.
Without hesitation, Joe rallied his crew. Listen up, team. We've got a situation. Let's help out however we can without putting ourselves in danger. The workers, a tight-knit group who had faced various challenges together, nodded in agreement. Using their construction equipment, they quickly devised a non-violent plan to aid the police. Mike, the crane operator, swung the crane's arm across the street, blocking the van's escape route. Sarah, the communications officer, relayed real-time updates to the authorities, while the rest of the crew used their tools to create obstacles, slowing down the robbers' escape.
The police arrived within minutes, and thanks to the workers' quick thinking, Fareed's transformation from a car thief to a wealthy entrepreneur was nothing short of miraculous. But the journey was not without its challenges. The windfall from the lottery ticket had given him a fresh start. But it was his determination and ingenuity that truly paved the way for his success. As Fareed's fortune began to flourish, Fareed found himself at the forefront of automotive security technology. His innovative designs were not only effective, but also stylish, blending seamlessly with the luxury cars they protected. His clientele included the wealthy elite of Cairo, who trusted no one but Fareed to secure their prized possessions.
But Fareed's ambitions didn't stop at car security. He began to invest in community projects, using his wealth to build schools and fund scholarships for underprivileged children. He knew the sting of poverty and the lure of the streets all too well. And he was determined to give others the opportunities he never had. His philanthropic work earned him respect and admiration, but it also caught the attention of his former rivals in the underworld. They couldn't understand his transformation and suspected it was a facade for something more sinister. Fareed, however, remained undeterred, focusing on his mission to make a positive impact.
Years turned into decades, and Fareed's legacy grew. The boy who once roamed the streets in search of his next target was now a man who walked the halls of power, advocating for change and innovation.
Once upon a time, in a bustling city that never slept, there was a man named Sam who had nothing but the clothes on his back and a heart full of dreams. Sam's home was a cardboard box in an alleyway, and his days were spent searching for food and a warm place to sleep. Despite his circumstances, Sam had an unbreakable spirit and an infectious smile that could light up the darkest corners of the city. He spent his evenings at the public library, reading every book he could get his hands on, learning about business, finance, and the stories of those who had risen from rags to riches. One day, as fate would have it, Sam stumbled upon a discarded lottery ticket. Without much thought, he checked the numbers against the evening's draw and, to his astonishment, the ticket was a winner. Sam's life was about to change forever.
With his newfound wealth, Sam didn't just transform his life, he transformed the lives of those around him. He invested in education, in businesses, and in the community that had once turned a blind eye to him. Sam's investments and innovations brought prosperity not only to himself, but also to the city that had been his home through the toughest of times. Years went by, and Sam's name became synonymous with success and philanthropy. He built shelters for the homeless, funded scholarships for the underprivileged, and created jobs for thousands. Sam, the man who once had nothing, became one of the most respected and wealthiest men in the world.
In the sprawling cityscape of New York, where dreams and dangers collide, there lived a man named Michael. He was known in his community for his kind heart and generous spirit. Michael worked as a mechanic, a trade he learned from his father, and spent his free time volunteering at the local shelter. One evening, as Michael closed up shop, a sleek black car pulled up. Out stepped a man dressed in a sharp suit, his eyes hidden behind dark sunglasses. He introduced himself as Mr. Smith and explained that he needed a rare car part that Michael happened to have. Grateful for the help, Mr. Smith offered Michael a substantial sum of money, far more than the part was worth. As weeks passed, Mr. Smith returned with more requests and more generous payments. Michael, unaware of Mr. Smith's true intentions, began to enjoy the extra income that allowed him to help his community even more. But Mr. Smith was a high-ranking member of a notorious gang, and he was slowly drawing Michael into his web.
The gang, seeing Michael's mechanical genius, wanted him for more than just car parts. They wanted him to modify their getaway cars, making them faster and untraceable. Michael, realizing too late the kind of people he was dealing with, found himself trapped. If he refused, he risked the safety of his family and friends. If he agreed, he would be aiding in their criminal activities. Torn between his morals and the safety of his loved ones, Michael made a decision. He would use his position to gather information and help the police take down the gang from the inside. It was a dangerous game, but Michael was determined to restore peace to his city. Months of covert operations followed, with Michael living a double life. By day, he was the friendly mechanic. By night, he was the gang's go-to guy, all the while passing information to the authorities.
Finally, the day came when the police were ready to strike. The raid was swift and successful, leading to the arrest of the gang members. Mr. Smith, realizing he had been betrayed, confronted Michael, but it was too late. The police had everything they needed.
Richard's life had been a tapestry of luxury, woven with threads of gold and silver. His mansion towered over the city, a beacon of success visible from every corner. People admired him, envied him, and some even feared him. He was a titan of industry, a man who believed he could buy happiness and loyalty. But fate is often indifferent to wealth and status. The stock market crash was like a tempest that swept through Richard's life, leaving nothing but wreckage in its wake. His assets, once thought to be invincible, crumbled like a house of cards. Creditors pounded on his door, and lawsuits drained what little remained of his fortune. The mansion was sold, the cars were repossessed, and the designer suits were replaced by the plain clothes donated by charitable organizations. Richard, who had never known hunger, now stood in line for a bowl of soup and a piece of bread. The city that once cheered his name now passed him by without a glance.
In this new world, Richard met people whose lives were starkly different from his own. He met those who struggled daily, yet found reasons to smile. He met children who played with toys made of scrap, their laughter echoing in the empty lots. He met the elderly who shared stories of times gone by, their eyes reflecting wisdom and resilience. Anna, the woman who ran the soup kitchen, became Richard's beacon of hope. She taught him that every person has a story, and every story deserves to be heard. Under her guidance, Richard learned to listen. He listened to the tales of loss, of hope, of dreams deferred but not defeated. As the seasons changed, so did Richard. He found joy in simple acts of kindness. He learned the names of those who came to the soup kitchen and remembered their favourite dishes. He shared his story too, not as a tale of downfall, but as a lesson in humility and resilience.
Years passed and the city began to heal from the economic disaster. New businesses rose, and with them, new opportunities. Richard, however, found that his place was no longer in the high-rise offices, but among the people he had come to love.
Once upon a time, in the vibrant city of Kentwood, Louisiana, a young girl named Britney Spears dreamed of stardom. Born on December 2nd, 1981, Britney possessed a remarkable voice and an electrifying stage presence that captivated all who saw her perform. From a tender age, Britney's talent shone brightly. She would sing at local talent shows, dazzling the audience with her powerful vocals and undeniable charisma. Recognizing her daughter's immense potential, Britney's mother Lynn supported her dreams wholeheartedly. In 1992, at the age of 11, Britney auditioned for the Mickey Mouse Club, a popular television show that discovered and nurtured young talents. Her audition impressed the show's producers, and she joined the cast, rubbing shoulders with fellow future stars, including Justin Timberlake and Christina Aguilera. After her stint on the Mickey Mouse Club, Britney's journey to superstardom was just beginning. She signed a record deal with Jive Records and released her debut single, Baby One More Time, in 1998. The infectious pop anthem skyrocketed to #1 on the charts, and Britney became an overnight sensation. With her distinctive schoolgirl outfit and irresistible dance moves, Britney captured the hearts of millions around the world. Her debut album, also titled Baby One More Time, sold over 10 million copies in its first year, solidifying her status as a pop icon. Britney continued to dominate the music scene with hit after hit, releasing albums like Oops, I Did It Again and Britney. Her performances in music videos, such as the iconic routine in I'm a Slave for You with a live python, pushed boundaries and solidified her reputation as a boundary-pushing artist. However, as Britney's fame grew, so did the scrutiny and pressure. Paparazzi relentlessly followed her, invading her privacy and hounding her every move. Tabloids sensationalized her personal life, and the pressures of fame began to take a toll on her mental health. In 2007, Britney faced a highly publicized breakdown, which resulted in her being placed under a conservatorship.
She had met him at a conference and they had hit it off instantly. He was charming, witty, and handsome. He made her feel alive, something she hadn't felt in a long time. Her husband was a good man, but he was boring, predictable, and distant. He worked long hours and they rarely spent quality time together. She felt lonely, neglected, and unfulfilled. She told herself it was just a fling, a harmless escape from her dull routine. She told herself she still loved her husband and she would never leave him. She told herself he would never find out and no one would get hurt. She told herself a lot of lies. But the truth caught up with her sooner than she expected. One day she came home to find her husband waiting for her in the living room. He looked angry, hurt, and betrayed. He held a piece of paper in his hand. It was a hotel receipt with her name and his name on it. He had found it in her purse when he was looking for some change. He had confronted her, and she had confessed everything.
He asked her how long it had been going on, and why she did it. He asked her if she loved him, and if she loved the other man. He asked her what she wanted, and what he should do. He asked her a lot of questions, but she had no answers. She only had tears, regrets, and apologies. But it was too late. He told her he couldn't forgive her, and he couldn't trust her. He told her he wanted a divorce, and he wanted her out of the house. He told her he was done with her, and he wanted nothing to do with her. He told her a lot of things, but she had no words. She only had silence, shock, and sorrow. She packed her bags and left the house. She called him, but he didn't answer. She texted him, but he didn't reply. She emailed him, but he didn't respond. She tried to reach him, but he had blocked her. She had lost him, and she had no one.
Jake had been planning his escape for months. He had studied the guards' routines, the layout of the prison, and the best time to make his move. He had also made friends with some of the inmates who could help him out. He had smuggled a makeshift knife, a rope, and a map under his mattress. He was ready. One night, when the lights went out and the guards were distracted, Jake slipped out of his cell and made his way to the laundry room. There, he met his accomplices, Sam, a hacker who had hacked the security system, Leo, a former soldier who had stolen a guard's uniform, and Max, a smuggler who had arranged a getaway car. They quickly changed into the laundry workers' clothes and grabbed some bags of dirty clothes. They walked casually towards the exit, hoping to blend in with the other workers.
However, as they approached the gate, they saw a problem. There was a new guard on duty, one they didn't recognize. He looked suspicious and alert. He stopped them and asked for their IDs. Jake felt a surge of panic. He knew they had to act fast. He whispered to his friends, "Follow my lead." He smiled at the guard and said, "Hey man, we're just doing our job. We have to deliver these clothes to the outside laundry service. Here, check our IDs." He handed him a fake ID that Sam had made. The guard looked at it and frowned. He said, "This doesn't look right. Where did you get this?" Jake said, "What do you mean? It's legit. Look, it has the prison logo and everything. Don't you trust your own colleagues?" He tried to sound confident and friendly, but he could feel his heart pounding. He knew the guard was not buying it. He glanced at his friends and saw that they were ready to attack. He gave them a subtle nod.
Suddenly, Jake lunged at the guard and stabbed him in the neck with his knife. Leo and Max followed suit and knocked out the other guards nearby. Sam ran to the gate and opened it with his hacked device.
Jennifer Lopez was having a bad day. She had just finished filming a scene for her new movie, but the director was not happy with her performance. He kept asking her to do it again and again until she felt exhausted and frustrated. She wondered if she had lost her touch as an actress or if the role was just too challenging for her. She decided to take a break and go for a walk around the studio lot. She put on her sunglasses and a hat, hoping to avoid any paparazzi or fans. She just wanted some peace and quiet, and maybe a cup of coffee. She walked past the sound stages and the props department, feeling a bit nostalgic. She remembered how excited she was when she first came to Hollywood, how she dreamed of becoming a star. She had worked hard to get where she was, but she also knew that fame came with a price. She had to deal with constant scrutiny, criticism, and pressure. She had to balance her career with her personal life, which was not easy. She had been married 3 times and had 2 beautiful children, but she also had a string of failed relationships and broken hearts. She wondered if she would ever find true love or if she was destined to be alone.
She reached a small cafe at the corner of the lot and went inside. She ordered a latte and a muffin and sat down at a table near the window. She took off her hat and sunglasses and looked around. The cafe was cozy and quiet, with a few customers reading newspapers or chatting. She felt a sense of relief, as if she had escaped from the chaos of her life for a moment. She took a sip of her coffee and smiled. It was good. She noticed a man sitting at the next table who seemed to be staring at her. He was handsome, with dark hair and green eyes. He wore a leather jacket and jeans and had a guitar case next to him. He looked familiar, but she couldn't place him. She wondered if he was a musician or an actor or maybe a fan. She felt a bit uneasy and hoped he wouldn't bother her. She was about to look away when he smiled and said, "Hi, I'm Alex. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I just wanted to say that I'm a huge fan of yours. You're amazing." Jennifer was surprised, but also flattered. She smiled back and said, "Thank you, that's very kind of you. I'm Jennifer." I know. You're Jennifer Lopez, the superstar."
The aroma of spices danced in the humid Chennai air, weaving through the bustling market where Padma, barely a teenager, navigated with the practiced ease of a native. Unlike the silk saris shimmering around her, Padma's cotton dress was stained with turmeric and chili powder, testaments to her culinary explorations. Today, she wasn't just browsing, she was hunting, searching for the perfect ingredients for her grandmother's legendary coconut chutney. Padma's life was a tapestry woven with vibrant threads. Born in India, raised in California, she straddled two worlds, each shaping her identity. Modeling opened doors, leading her to glamorous runways and exotic locales. Yet, her heart ached for the warmth of spices and the rhythm of rolling rotis. It was in kitchens, not on catwalks, that she felt truly alive. One fateful day, an audition changed everything. Padma, with her disarming charm and infectious passion, won the role of host on Top Chef.
The world watched as she navigated the fiery kitchens, not just judging dishes, but understanding the stories woven into each creation. Padma became more than a host. She was a storyteller, using food as a language to connect cultures and celebrate diversity. But Padma's journey wasn't without challenges. She faced prejudice in the modeling industry, navigating a world obsessed with Eurocentric beauty standards. Later, a tumultuous marriage and the harsh realities of single motherhood tested her strength. Yet Padma emerged stronger, using her voice to advocate for immigrant rights, women's empowerment, and ending hunger. Her own experiences fueled her next project, Taste the Nation. Traveling across America, Padma explored the culinary mosaic woven by immigrants and indigenous communities. Each episode was a love letter to resilience, celebrating the power of food to transcend borders and build bridges.